Hey there, guys. So I want to thank you for taking the time to check out today's live stream where we're going to be going over micronutrients. But before I do get started with that, I do want to, of course, share my website. So, of course, if you're not aware, this is my website, which is bponlinefitness.com. You can find out a ton of information on here related to online fitness coaching. If you click on this button at the top, which you're going to see the same thing on here that you will on a mobile device. So if you click the join the team button on, either device, you can go in here and this is where you can begin to schedule your consultation if you want to learn more about online fitness coaching. The consultation itself is free. So there's of course no investment that you have to do in that. We'll just schedule a call and we'll discuss sort of what your fitness goals are. So, another thing I do want to mention is that there is other information on here that you can check out. There are videos as well as the fitness blog that I upload to each and every Friday. So these get uploaded and updated each week. And then I also have client testimonials, which you can scroll down through here, and it explains a little bit about some of the clients that I've worked with and about their overall stories in the fitness program itself. So definitely check this out. Again, you can see all the same things here as you can on my on the website as you can like on mobile is what I'm trying to say. So you can check it out, of course, and look at what all I have to offer. Again, guys, I am offering 20% off online fitness coaching for the time being. And then of course, I do want to share, if you scroll down here at the bottom, you can subscribe to the email newsletter, which I send out each and every Monday. So just put in your email there and you can sign up for the email newsletter. Another thing too is when you sign up for the email newsletter, you also sign up for the email list. So you'll get notified on any sort of promotions that I have on online fitness coaching, as well as any offers that I have when I do live streams and things of that nature. So you'll kind of get those reminders as well. So definitely check all of that information out. Again, it's free for you to access and to make use of. So let's go ahead and get started, guys, with today's topic, which is over micronutrients and color crunch. So this is a topic that's going to really benefit anybody. And again, like I've mentioned previously, when we talk about these topics, we do generally focus on the aspect of muscle gain in these particular topics. So, as we're getting started, of course, you want to keep in mind that we will be going over what each of these different points mean. So even though you may not be aware of what micronutrients are, I will go over that in this stream. So these are some of the topics that we're going to be discussing here today in this live stream. So we're going to go over, of course, color and crunch, which is a basically a simple daily system on how to include, good nutrients in your overall, routine that can really help in keeping you on track with your goals. So two colors and one crunch per meal. We're also going to, of course, go over micronutrients, which directly impact your lifting performance. So this includes nutrients that are, of course, magnesium, potassium, iron, and zinc, as well as calcium and vitamin D. We're also going to go over fiber, so the recovery switch. So this will be basically over, the aspect that fiber plays into your nutrition, with it being gut health, inflammation, appetite control, energy, instability, and things of that nature. Carb quality versus carb quantity, fruits, vegetables, whole grains for glycogen and micronutrient coverage, pre-workout color, choices for pump energy and digestion, post-workout crunch, choices for recovery and being satiated. So this includes salads, beans, seeds, things of that nature, and as well as how to build a micronutrient floor without tracking. So basically giving you a template on how you should approach, your micronutrients in other words. So just want to make sure that I had that up there. So let's go back here. Give me just a second. So I just want to make sure I had my audio going. Okay. Because sometimes that happens where I'll go through the whole stream and then the audio's not working. So I just want to make sure that that was working. So let's go ahead and get started, guys, and start with the first topic here, which is, of course, color and crunch. So, color and crunch basically as a simple daily system. So, including two colors plus a crunch per meal. So, again, when we think of these different points, this is going to help give you sort of a blueprint on how you should approach nutrition and how you can include, the proper nutrients in your nutrition. So you want to add two colors to two meals. So think of green, red, orange, and purple. So this being spinach and broccoli, peppers and tomatoes, carrots and squash, as well as beets and cabbage. So you're adding a combination of two different colors in your meals. You also want to think about adding one crunch source daily. So your crunch is primarily, fiber, based option, shooting based option, which is going to give you that fullness. An example of these would be raw carrots, cucumber slices, bell peppers, apples, lightly toasted nuts, and a slaw mix. So you're basically adding a combination of those colors along with that crunch. So pair it with protein. So again, this is giving you a balanced sort of meal that you can think of when it comes to your nutrition. And again, this can be for anybody getting started. This is just giving you a clear blueprint on how you can approach sort of the meals that will help and aid in your growth. So pair it with protein. So again, this is going to be an example of having chicken, rice, broccoli, and shredded carrots. So again, you're seeing that, mix of the color and the crunch all together while still pairing that protein in there again to balance it out and giving you, sort of those macronutrients in there. Greek yogurts, berries, chopped almonds, eggs, sauteed spinach, slice of or side of sliced peppers. You can also, of course, make it automatic. So in order to not, decide daily on these options, you can add frozen veggies to your lunch. You could keep pre-cut vegetables in the fridge, and you can add a crunchy side to a dinner automatically. So think of this, kind of in the way of somewhat meal prepping in a way, but you don't necessarily have to, put together a whole meal. If you can put together just, a good amount of basically, veggies, or even you could include fruits, of course, in here as well. It doesn't have to necessarily be just your veggies in particular. You just want to have a mix of those colors and of course, having a crunch in there as well. So that's sort of giving you a good idea on how you can sort of set up a plate that's going to be really balanced. So the next point that I want to go over is micronutrients that directly impact lifting performance. So I want to clarify what micronutrients mean. So micronutrients is basically nutrients that we receive in a smaller amount. So you've likely heard me speak about macronutrients, and so micronutrients is basically the opposite of that. Macronutrients are nutrients that we consume in a large amounts in our foods. So this is, of course, your protein, your carbs, and your fats. Whereas with micronutrients, this is more of our vitamins, our minerals, and things of that nature. So these are consumed in smaller amounts. And even though these are consumed in smaller amounts, these can still be beneficial towards our overall diet and helping to benefit our workout routine and help to benefit our performance in our workout routine at the same time. So magnesium is the first point that I want to go over. And again, keep in mind that there's a ton of different macronutrients outside of just, these three that I have mentioned here. Magnesium can actually help with muscle contraction and recovery. So magnesium, of course, supports muscle contraction and relaxation. It reduces cramping and neuromuscular fatigue. It also helps to regulate sleep quality, which is going to be that, of course, anabolic recovery window, and is involved in ATP production. ATP, of course, is sort of the energy source that you're going to get in the body. It's that cellular energy. So ATP is a good thing. The more ATP you have, the more you're going to, of course, really improve your performance in your workouts. So low magnesium is actually going to fatigue you. It's going to lead to poor recovery and decreased output. Another option here would be iron. So what iron actually helps with is oxygen delivery and work capacity. So it's essential for hemoglobin production, again, this being blood, healthy blood. It delivers oxygen to working muscles, supports endurance and training density. It is also important to keep in mind that low iron can actually lead to early fatigue, poor stamina, and reduced performance in your routine. Another point you want to keep in mind, and another sort of micronutrient that you need to be aware of, is of course your sodium, potassium, and calcium. And again, these are just a small amount of your micronutrients. So there's more outside of this, and like I mentioned, with micronutrients, this is of course, a wide range of vitamins and minerals. So the electrolyte trio, which is sodium, potassium, calcium, this can help to regulate nerve signaling. This helps to control muscle contraction and maintain hydration balance. So this is really helping to, of course, increase your energy and really help to make the most of, your contractions in your workouts and your performance and your lifting in your workouts. So you're more sharp with, how you perform those workouts when you include these types of sort of micronutrients. So imbalance is going to equal weakness, cramping, or power output. So keep in mind that when it comes to micronutrients, these are, of course, it's really important to be aware of, trying to focus on, including more vitamins and minerals in your routine. Now, I know that I mentioned a lot of times, our macronutrients and making sure we get those. But at the same time, it's very important to try to focus on getting some of those additional nutrients that can really help and aid in your overall, growth and progression at the same time. So again, these are just a few of the sort of micronutrients that you can include. And again, these are found in various different types of foods, of course. So fiber, the recovery switch. So fiber itself helps with a lot of different things. So fiber is sort of classified in that same sort of example of a micronutrient as well. So what fiber is going to help with is of course your gut health, your inflammation, your appetite control, and your energy stability. So fiber stabilizes blood sugar. It helps to slow digestion, reduces energy crashes, prevents stress hormone spikes, keeps training output consistent, and is helping to stable blood sugar. So it's making a more stable recovery environment in your system. Fiber also improves nutrient partitioning, which enhances insulin sensitivity. Of course, this is going to help with, fat loss in the body. It's going to help carbs refill muscle glycogen instead of storing as excess fat. So muscle glycogen is really going to help in your overall energy levels. It's also going to support lean mass over body fat. So better partitioning is going to equal smarter growth. Fiber is going to, of course, feed your gut, which is a good thing. So this is going to support a healthy gut bacteria and improves your digestion and your nutrient absorption in the body, and it's going to strengthen the immune resilience in the body as well. So a healthy gut is going to better your protein utilization. So keep that in mind as well. Fiber is very important to add to your diet, and it's really going to help, a lot of people many times, of course, think about it in the aspect of gut health and, regulating your system, but it has many other benefits outside of just that aspect when it comes to fiber. So remember to keep those points in mind. So the next point here, of course, we're going to go over is carb quality versus carb quantity. So fruits, vegetables, whole grains for glycogen and micronutrients coverage. So like I've mentioned, when it comes to carbohydrates and when I've talked about carbohydrates in the past, carbs are all about the quality that you consume. And at the same time, it's important to have a sufficient amount of your quantity. So having sort of a balance between the quality of your carbs and your quantity is really going to make the most of, what you're going to get from those carbs and how those carbs are going to help you, in your progression and how those nutrients are going to help in your performance in your workouts. So carb quantity equals fuel. So your total carbs determine glycogen storage. So I do want to mention that when we're talking about carbs, again, this is a macronutrient, but we are going to discuss how this is going to aid in micronutrients at the same time. So carb intake, generally what you want to think about is that carb intake is going to be slightly higher than protein intake in a lot of ways. So with carb intake, just to give you an idea on the amount of carbs you should consume, usually, like I mentioned with protein, you want to focus on reaching, you know, again, like what I mentioned, having your protein matching your body weight. So you generally want to match both of those together. So like 150 grams of protein and basically matching that with body weight. So if you weigh 150 pounds, that's 150 grams of protein. Now, generally with carbs, it's going to be slightly higher than that intake. So you want to keep that in mind. So total carbs are going to determine, of course, that glycogen storage, which is going to be the energy source in the body. It's going to support training intensity plus volume. So this is really critical for leg days. And the reason being why carbs are really critical for leg days is because you're really burning a lot of energy with leg days. And why that is because a lot of your lower body involves a large amount of big muscle groups. So your quads, your glutes, you have those large muscle groups. And so when you have those high output sessions, this is going to really lead to needing more carbs and helping with your overall energy and performance in your workouts. So again, you've got to keep that in mind as well. So if you have too low of carb intake, you your workouts will be flat and it's going to affect poor recovery. So I do have some people that have mentioned to me why carb intake matters, and carb intake is just as important as any of your other nutrients in there. And a lot of times we neglect carbs because of the sort of notion of, the idea people have on carbs themselves. So it's quantity that's going to drive performance capacity. So carb quality, again, this is going to help with equaling more recovery and efficiency from your workouts. So high quality carb sources are going to provide fiber, which is going to lead to gut health and nutrient absorption. So again, what you're seeing here with carbs is that there is a link between those carbs and those micronutrients. So you're kind of finding those micronutrients that are going to be in your carbs. So you're also going to get potassium from, those carb sources. So this is going to help with muscle contraction and hydration balance. Magnesium can be found in those sources, which is going to help with the recovery process. Again, this being your muscle repair, and then it's helping with your sleep quality. B vitamins are going to help with, of course, your energy metabolism as well. So when you get good quality carb sources, that's going to add in getting those really good quality micronutrients as well. So the winning strategy. So you want to hit your daily carb target for trading demands. And like what I mentioned, again, to clarify what types of carbs you want to focus on is again your complex carbs. So this is your brown rice based, sort of options. This is quinoa. This is whole grain based options. This could be oats at the same time. So if you can get, those carbs that are less processed, that's going to be your best types of carbs. And like I mentioned, your carb intake is going to be slightly higher than your protein intake. So another point here with the winning strategy is that you make the majority of micronutrient dense choices. You also want to use lower quality carbs strategically around workouts if desired. So why does this matter specifically when we're talking about hypertrophy? So carbs are going to really help in bettering your recovery between those workout sessions. It's also going to lead to more stable energy. And that's why when I mentioned with workouts, before you go into workouts, having good carbs in your diet is going to help you really make the most of that workout routine and really keep your energy level stable as you're going throughout your workout, because it's going to really impact your performance in your workout. And the more that your performance is high and where it needs it to be, the more you are really going to, be able to progress better in your workouts. Improved digestion, of course. So a lot of times with carbs, you're going to have that fiber in there. Stronger training output over time. So again, even though we generally, when we focus on muscle gain, we always prioritize protein, but your carbs complementing that muscle gain, and then of course that combination of micronutrients is going to really help in how you are going to progress better and really focus on hypertrophy. So the next point here is your pre-workout color. So, like what I've mentioned with, your pre-workout, generally you want to focus on some carbs. So, here are some options of good foods that you could include, sort of pre-workout that can help in getting you prepared and giving you the proper nutrients and helping with making the most of your performance in those workouts. So red, orange, green, and blue. So you're having a combination of blue and purple as well. So all of these different colors are what you can think about to include before you go into your workout. So red. So some of the options that are, red colored base, basically like fruits and veggies would be your beets, your cherries, and your strawberries. So what these help to aid in is your blood flow and your pump support. Orange and yellow is going to be, of course, your energy and vitamin C. So this is going to be oranges, pineapple, and mango. So green, this would be your electrolytes and light digestion. So spinach, which could be included in smoothies, kiwi, and green grapes. Blue and purple, which is for oxidative stress. So this is going to help again with your recovery process most, primarily, in other words. And again, your recovery is that muscle gain process. So this is your blueberries and your blackberries. So polyphenols are going to support recovery while still allowing performance adaptation. So you're basically, kickstarting that recovery process as you are, preparing for that workout. So again, you could do these in multiple ways. So when you include, all these different options, you could do smoothies. That would be a great way to sort of include these options. Now, you don't have to have all of these, of course, but when you include, these good, easy options before your workout, it's really going to help in how you perform in those workouts. So here's a simple pre-workout plate formula. And like what I mentioned, with pre-workout, generally you don't want to consume a large amount of foods in that pre-workout because, of course, you don't want to be, kind of bloated when you go into a workout. You do want to have, your easy, really, a good plate when you go into pre-workout. I do always include carbs. So like I mentioned, carbs are a good option to include before your workout. But you want to focus on easy carbs. So this is going to be your fruits, your rice, and your oats. Moderate protein intake, so 20 to 30 grams of protein, low fat, as well as low to moderate fiber to avoid excess before lifting. So just having a balanced plate of those easy carbs, a moderate amount of protein, really low in fat, as well as low to moderate fiber in your pre-workout plate formula. So for post-workout crunch, choices for recovery and staying satiated. So this includes salads, slaws, beans, and seeds. So we've mentioned a combination of colors, of course, but crunch is another option that can really help in, our recovery support process. So crunch is going to be your fiber and your micronutrients combined, which is helping with recovery support. So some crunchy whole foods to bring. So what I should say is crunchy whole foods themselves bring fiber, which is better digestion and nutrient absorption, potassium, which is going to have more fluid balance and muscle function. How you basically, are engaging those muscles are going to be more, helping with that muscle function post workout. Vitamin C, helping with connective tissue support. Again, a lot of these are recovery signaling and helping with that repair process post workout. Polyphenols, which help manage training stress. So, all of these are really helping the recovery repair process post workout. And that's what you want to think about primarily when you include, foods post workout, is having those foods really help in your recovery. So the best post-workout crunch picks, so you can include hot water and easy digest options. So cucumbers, bell peppers, carrots, snap peas, and celery. And of course, you still want to think about all of your other nutrients at the same time. So having that combination of those crunchy based options, the color based options, of course, as well as a large amount of your macronutrients at the same time, having that balance between all those nutrients are what's going to help. So protein, 25 to 40 grams of protein. This is going to be your lean meats. Again, this is your recovery plate blueprint. So this is your lean meats, Greek yogurt, whey, and eggs. So carbs are generally 40 to 80 grams. Again, like you're seeing here, your carb intake is going to be higher than your protein intake. So keep that in mind. So rice, potatoes, oats, and fruit, that's going to be sort of the carbs that you want to include again for recovery and post workout. Crunch 1 to 2 cups of veggies or one fruit plus a veggie combo. So you're just adding those macronutrients, those, your protein and your carbs while adding those color-based options together. So think of that as like, when we think of a meal, you've got like your grilled chicken for your protein, you've got your brown rice for your carbs, but then you're adding those veggies, which is adding that color and that crunch at the same time. So that's how you kind of need to think about, what a plate's going to look like. So another thing, of course, is fluids, your water and electrolytes, especially if you sweat heavy. So making sure you get proper hydration and water intake post-workout is really going to help too with your body in that recovery process. So how to build a micronutrient floor. So without tracking, rotation frozen options, and plate templates. So this is going to give you a little bit of sort of a guide on how you can sort of make this sort of, this micronutrient, all these options to be more automatic and how to make it easily be able to integrate into your daily life to really help in, keeping it a consistent habit without having to stress so much on tracking. So what is the micronutrient floor? So this is the minimum daily standard of nutrient density you hit even if you don't track calories and macros. So this is going to protect your recovery, your energy levels, your immune function, hormonal balance, as well as training consistency. So how do you build this? So again, you're still going to see that combination of sort of those colors and those crunch based options in here. So your color rule is that you want to focus on 2 to 3 different colors of produce daily and at least one green and one bright color. So veggie minimum, so 2 cups of vegetables per day, your leafy greens, your peppers, your carrots, broccoli, zucchini. Your fruit standard, of course, is going to be 1 to 2 whole fruits daily and rotate tops across the week. So this is just giving you a general guide on how you can sort of get sufficient micronutrients without having to really obsess as much. So it's just giving you a clear blueprint here on how you can include, again, though, that mix of those color-based food options and crunch-based options that are going to be good micronutrients that are going to help in, of course, your recovery process and muscle repair process in your workouts. So it makes it more automatic where you don't have to think about it instead of course, having to really try to plan out your plates so much. Alrighty, guys. So I want to thank you for your time and checking out this week's live stream. Again, I do these every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you do have any questions about anything I discuss here, feel free to let me know. You can visit my website, which is bponlinefitness.com, where I share a ton of information as it relates to online fitness coaching. And of course, if you are interested, every Tuesday, I also do a TikTok live stream at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm likely planning on doing Thursday live streams. I haven't started that yet, but I think I'm going to plan on starting to do those on YouTube since my YouTube has kicked off quite a bit. So I'll likely do that. But definitely, check out my YouTube channel if you haven't, as well as, of course, if you miss any of these streams. So if you want to watch them live, these are all done in my Facebook group. And I do, of course, archive these so that you can watch these each and every time when I do, record them, pre-record them, so they're able to watch at a later time. But thank you guys once again for your time. I really hope that you found this helpful and valuable. And if you do have any questions, let me know. But I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time in the next live stream. So thank you guys once again for watching.